The following episode contains descriptions of sexual violence and may not be suitable for everyone. Please see the episode notes for more information about support services.
It starts with a 14-year-old girl with $300 in her purse. She's a freshman at Royal Palm Beach High School. She's only been a student there a few months when a girl she knows named Haley tells her about a way to make some quick cash. Haley Robson's a little older, the cousin of an ex-boyfriend, and she works as a waitress at a local Olive Garden. One Sunday in February 2005, they get into Haley's pickup truck. They drive down Okeechobee Boulevard, which is lined with fast food restaurants, strip malls, and liquor stores, and cross the bridge onto the island of Palm Beach. Royal Palm High School is in West Palm Beach. The island of Palm Beach, on the other hand, is one of the wealthiest zip codes in the United States. It's a narrow strip of land sandwiched between the Atlantic Ocean and Lake Worth, famous for its multimillionaires and mansions, private clubs like Mar-a-Lago, and the golf courses that line its shores. As Haley and the girl cross the bridge from one world to the other, Haley tells her about the guy she works for. His name is Jeff. Then she adds, "If Jeff asks your age, tell him you're 18. They drive down a dead-end street and park in front of a 2-story pink house. Then they walk down the driveway, past a guardhouse, and through the kitchen door. Once inside, the girl is offered a drink and introduced to a woman with blonde hair. And that's when the girl loses track of Haley. She's led upstairs into a bedroom, which has a massage table. The girl will later describe the man who walks in as mid-40s with a long face, bushy eyebrows, and silver hair. "Take off your clothes," he tells her sternly, and he asks the girl to give him a massage. She's not sure how to react, except to do what the man says. When she tries to keep some of her clothes on, the man tells her to take off everything. At the end, the silver-haired man hands her $300 and sends her back downstairs where Haley is waiting. After they've left, the girl tells Haley that the man asked her to give him a massage. "I know," Haley replies flatly. They go shopping together, then drive back home. Rumors are flying among the students at the high school that girls are being paid to perform sexual favors for a rich man in Palm Beach. A few days after the girl's visit to the mansion, another student at school calls her a whore. The name-calling turns into a fight, and the fight lands both girls in the assistant principal's office. When the administrator rummages through the girl's purse, she finds $300. At first, the girl won't say where the money came from, but eventually she opens up to her parents. And on March 15th, 2005, she and her parents speak with a detective from the Palm Beach Police Department. Slowly, sometimes through tears, the 14-year-old tells the detective her story. From the description of the man, the house, and that first name, Jeff, the police think that they may know who the girl is talking about. He's a wealthy guy in Palm Beach. He's even donated money to the Palm Beach Police Department recently to help pay for much-needed new equipment. They place a photo of the man in a lineup, and the girl points to him right away. Jeffrey Epstein. The police will conduct dozens more interviews like this as the investigation continues, interviews with other young women and other girls. But this is the first time the Palm Beach Police Department will speak with one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. And more women will speak in the years to come.
You're just thrown into a world that you don't understand, and you're screaming on the inside, and you don't know how to let it come out.
That same night, Jeffrey Epstein is 1,200 miles away at a charity benefit inside an old bank building that's been converted into one of the most lavish event spaces in New York City. Rod Stewart is performing. In a photo taken that night, Epstein's wearing a double-breasted navy jacket, a blue shirt, and a gold watch with a black leather band. He has his arm around a woman, pulling her head toward his so that his smirking lips graze her temples. The smiling woman is Ghislaine Maxwell, who Epstein calls his best friend. Epstein is tan and relaxed, and as his eyes meet the camera, he looks like he doesn't have a care in the world. And for a man who firmly believes that his wealth can solve any problem he faces, perhaps he's right not to be worried. The Mysterious Mr. Epstein is sponsored by NetSuite. Before I was a full-time podcaster, I worked in analytical marketing. It was a good gig, both creative and data-driven. And while I love the creative side, in the end, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. But good Lord, is getting the right numbers hard. Legacy systems won't talk with cloud services. Half the department is working in rogue Excel documents. Marketing inexplicably keeps formatting reports into PDFs. It's an inefficient mess. NetSuite by Oracle can help. NetSuite is advanced, integrated business management software that handles every aspect of your business in an easy-to-use cloud platform, giving you the visibility and control you need. Because if you don't know, you can't grow. With NetSuite, you save time, money, and unneeded headaches by managing sales, finance, and accounting, orders, and HR instantly, right from your desktop or phone. Find out for yourself why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Right now, NetSuite is offering you valuable insights with a free guide. 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/MME. That's netsuite.com/MME to download your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/MME. From Wondery, I'm Lindsey Graham, host of American Scandal, and this is The Mysterious Mr. Epstein.
We have breaking news tonight about new women coming forward saying Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused them when they were minors.
The man Trump once called a terrific guy, back behind bars.
Breaking news, Jeffrey Epstein, the multimillionaire, financier, and accused sex trafficker is dead.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Long before Epstein dominated headlines as a sex trafficker of girls and young women, he received a glowing reception in the highest reaches of American society. Epstein formed business relationships with billionaires and amassed a large fortune of his own. Beyond his home in Palm Beach, he owned a 7-story townhouse in New York City, a private island in the Caribbean, and a 10,000-acre ranch in New Mexico. He cultivated friendships with ex-President Bill Clinton and future President Donald Trump. Nobel Prize winners praised him to the press as brilliant and fun, charming, and handsome. When Epstein died in a New York jail this summer, he left behind many unanswered questions. This is a 6-part series that uses original interviews we've conducted and brings together extensive research and reporting to tell the complete story of how the wealthy financier, accused of financial and sexual crimes, was able to elude justice from his first days as a young man on Wall Street until the very end. This is episode 1, A Free Man. It's the morning of March 22nd, 2017 on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. President Trump has been in office 2 months, and a Senate committee has gathered to question his nominee for Secretary of Labor, Alexander Acosta. Acosta is in his late 40s, a former U.S. attorney for Southern Florida. He has a receding hairline and a wide mouth, and he's wearing the dark suit that's standard issue for a man appearing before a congressional committee, a committee that holds the fate of his confirmation in its hands. Nearly 2 hours pass, more or less amicably. Trump has had some controversial cabinet picks, but Acosta is not considered one of them. Until Senator Tim Kaine takes his turn to address Acosta.
The committee needs to ask about, and I think you're entitled to respond to, an article that appeared in the Washington Post online version last night and this morning. Labor nominee Acosta cut deal with billionaire guilty in sex abuse case.
The billionaire is Jeffrey Epstein.
There was once a time before the investigations, before the sexual abuse conviction, when rich and famous men loved to hang around with Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire money manager who loved to party. President Trump called Epstein a terrific guy back.
Senator Kaine asks Acosta why he didn't indict Epstein nearly 10 years ago when these accusations first surfaced.
And there's an allegation that I just read that you did not pursue a federal indictment, even though your staff had advocated that you do so. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate. Let me address the and I can't discuss the details of the case, but let me take it generally. It is pretty typical in prosecution.
But Kaine keeps pressing. He wants to know why Acosta instead negotiated a sweetheart deal for Epstein without his victims even knowing about it.
Was that a consensus decision in your office?
It was a broadly held decision, yes.
I'm over my time, Mr. Chair. And
The exchange between the senator and Acosta lasts a little more than 7 minutes, and it's the only time Epstein is mentioned in the confirmation hearing. Acosta is confirmed as Secretary of Labor. Back in Florida, a reporter at the Miami Herald has been following the hearing closely as Acosta dodges the questions about Epstein. Julie K. Brown is a longtime reporter at the Herald. She's in her mid-50s and has shoulder-length blonde hair. She's equal parts warm and tenacious. When she was starting out as a reporter, her nickname was the Slapper because she would ask the same question 12 times until she got an answer. Brown believes that, with Acosta's rise to national prominence, it may be worth digging deeper into exactly how Jeffrey Epstein managed to avoid prosecution back in Florida in the mid-2000s. Brown has the support of her editor, Casey Frank. Frank is a longtime editor at the paper who oversees the investigation department. He has short, graying hair and the tan skin of a lifelong Floridian. They'd recently worked together on a series about the sexual abuse of prisoners.
And this made her interested in the subject of human trafficking and especially sexual trafficking of women. And so that led her to research the case of Jeffrey Epstein. And the more she poked around, the more she decided to approach it kind of like a police cold case squad.
So Brown begins the long process of tracking down Epstein's victims, most of whom were minors at the time of the incidents.
And she dug in, burrowed in, pulled all sorts of records. But the key was that she was able to identify the victims of Mr. Epstein, who of course are not named in court documents. She was able to get some of them to talk to her, which nobody had done.
It takes nearly a year, but Brown identifies around 80 women who all say they are Epstein's victims. She can track down about 60 of them, and finally, 8 of them agree to talk.
Previously, really nobody cared what these women had to say. Their insights were ignored as the feds and then the state made this case go away.
Frank says this is the moment when he was sure something would come of her efforts.
When the women started speaking to us, and that took a lot of courage by those women, we knew we had a story and there was no stopping it.
They have a story, but one crucial element is still missing.
Who knows what really happened? The former Palm Beach police chief who gathered the evidence, including 37 victims.
Former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter oversaw the investigation into Epstein back in 2005. By the time Julie Brown is working on her story, he's retired. When she tries to interview Reiter about the case, he's not interested in talking. He says the Herald probably won't have the guts to publish the story on the Epstein investigation anyway. Finally, Brown asks her editor to see if he might have better luck. Casey Frank goes to Reiter.
I talked to him and I said, number one, I've been here 30-odd years and we don't bury stories. Number two, we don't get intimidated by influential people, whether it's Mr. Epstein or anybody else. Number three, if somebody were to say that we can't run this story and I felt it was a story, I would quit. And I meant it.
Frank's assurances work. The former police chief opens up about the case, and once he starts talking, it turns out Reiter has a lot to say about how the Florida prosecution handled the case against Jeffrey Epstein. The mysterious Mr. Epstein is sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Hiring can be a slow process. Cafe Altura's COO Dylan Miskowitz needed to hire a director of coffee for his organic coffee company, but he was having trouble finding qualified applicants, so he switched to ZipRecruiter. Because ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them for you. ZipRecruiter's technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job, so you get qualified candidates fast. Dylan posted his job on ZipRecruiter and said he was impressed by how quickly he had great candidates apply. He also used ZipRecruiter's candidate rating feature to filter his applicants so he could focus on the most relevant ones. And that's how Dylan found his new director of coffee in just a few days. With results like that, it's no wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post